The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some of the Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, came forward and put this question to Jesus, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman but died childless. The second and the third married her, and likewise all 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. Now at the resurrection, whose wife will that woman be? For all 7 had been married to her." Jesus said to them, "The children of this age marry and remarry, but those who are deemed worthy to attain the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, for they are all like angels, and they are children of God, because they are the ones who will rise. That the dead will rise, even Moses made known in the passage about the bush when he called out to the Lord, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he is not God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. For weeks now, we have been bombarded with political ads. Not to worry, they will soon be gone. Replaced with Chia Pets and other holiday favorites. I suppose sometimes the messages in those ads are meaningful, although how much can you really get in a 15-second soundbite? At other times, they're simply deceptive and farcical. I think we're all tired of it, even the candidates. And then we come to today's gospel. And we find out there's no escaping it, not even in church. We open today's gospel and we have to pull up with the political shenanigans of the Sadducees. Great. I find myself wishing this passage wasn't even in the gospel, or at least not in the Sunday lectionary. But it is. And I know why it's there. It's there because this is November, the month we remember our beloved dead. And the liturgical year is drawing to a close. And so it's natural for us to think of the last things, including the resurrection. And yet, what can we honestly say about the resurrection? We only experience it in minute, partial and fragmentary moments. We really have no idea. To speak of a totally different reality, a reality of pure love or a reality of pure being, really fails to satisfy. Let's face it, we want details. And we don't have them. And yet in pursuit of those details, I've heard some really strange homilies in the course of my years. I remember one particular when the priest asked the question, "What age will we be in the resurrection?" And as he waxed on to answer his own question, I sat there kind of thinking, age means there's time. resurrection means there's timelessness. The contradiction should be obvious. You cannot have age when you have eternity. Just like there won't be clocks, so we won't have to worry about do we push it forward or push it backwards, because there won't be any time to begin with. The thing is, it becomes kind of fun to speculate about the resurrection because it really doesn't affect us. Resurrection is really all of God's doing. It is God's gift. It is God's love. It is God's action. But if we sit around speculating about resurrection, we get to avoid and not notice the evils that are present in this text and in our culture, which of course we can do something about and are called to do something about by virtue of our baptism. Now, I will acknowledge I'm looking at this first century text with 21st century eyes. And yet, in recent weeks, I've wondered if the moral compass really has moved all that much. I mean, don't you find it just totally sickening in the pit of your stomach that the Sadducees think a woman is nothing more than a piece of property to be passed on from one man to another? That's just gross. And is it not morally askew that the text assumes that the only value a woman has is giving birth? Worse, it seems to be entirely her burden and her duty to raise up an heir for a male, so that this whole cycle of patriarchy can simply continue. And notice that the child is not valued in and of itself. The child is only valued as a trophy to his father's masculinity. And listening to this whole bizarre discussion that Jesus has with the Sadducees, perhaps it also might have occurred to you how painful this whole line of questioning is for those who are unable to even have a child. And we have not begun to address the issues of the use of power in this story, let alone the issues of power, torture, and intolerance in our first reading. Little wonder the Sadducees back in the first century, and so many Christians in our own century, want to sit back and speculate about resurrection. It's a great way to be perceived as being holy, while upholding the status quo and completely ignoring Jesus' call for us to change and be converted.